Hello, you beautiful people. Welcome to another episode of the Roaring Agents podcast. Today is another edition, I guess, of Mikenomics. So this is where I talk about the news and numbers in real estate that I found interesting last week. So I think this actually came out today, which was foreign investment of U.S. real estate plunged to lowest level since 2011. What's interesting about those numbers is 51% of those people have actually plan on this being their primary residence. So it's not foreign investors just buying up our land and just taking over or whatever, like some people are afraid. A lot of that is from China, but then the other four countries are Canada, Colombia. I just blanked on the other one. So quite a few countries. And for 10% of the ones that it wasn't going to be their primary residence, it was also going to be a vacation / rental. So think about buying Airbnb on the coast for yourself. They're doing the same thing, and they want to be here and vacation. So going to the lowest level, that's actually beneficial for the pressure that it's putting onto our real estate market, especially in Portland. It's kind of crazy right now. We have just the lowest inventory we've had, and it doesn't look like it's going to ease up. Home ownership has increased from 64 to 68%. 4% doesn't sound like a lot, but that is a lot of homes. And interest rates have just really been fueling that, I think. And it's just going to keep going as long as people feel they have jobs. All the jobs are coming back. People are sorting out how to make life happen under these current conditions. And that's going to keep going, I think. Now let's talk about Portland. What they're thinking is that for Portland, Oregon, that the housing shortage is going to last for 2 to 3 years. And I'm not sure really how that's going to even clean up by that point, because for the last 5 years or so, we're been about 22 housing units behind where we need to be for the migration we've had to our state from the rest of the country. I know they're expecting that to slow down, but I just don't see how we'll build fast enough. We basically had a 2 or 3 month moratorium, at least in the Portland area, for building permits. So 2 to 3 years sounds fast to me, but I'm not an economist. I just play one on the podcast. They're hoping for a balanced market in 12 to 18 months. Maybe if interest rates go up, that's going to put pressure on prices, and it's going to put pressure on, people really don't care about prices. What they care about is the payment that they pay every month. And that's one of the things that's really made this market take off in these last few months of the lockdown, was that change in interest rates as the Fed kept doing their quantitative. This was interesting. I found out that Oregon is the number 2 state for people working from home. People just want to be in Oregon. Oregon's a fantastic place. We got a lot of people. It's cheaper. Portland is the cheapest big city on the West Coast. That's a little bit of a stretch, I think, an hour and a half away from the coast. And I think some people want that. What's nice about Portland, if you're in the middle of Portland, you're basically an hour and a half out to the beach and an hour and a half to the mountain. And then you've got all the great rivers and lakes in between. It's an amazing place. So it makes sense people want to come here if they can still hold on to their job somewhere else. I think as this quarantine happens, not the quarantine, but just the pressure and the remote work, I think we're going to see more people come to Portland, maybe in outlying areas even more. I think downtown Portland is going to have some trouble here in the near future, as people were living there more for their jobs than anything else, and life is not normal in downtown. 20 years ago, they really pushed to have the downtown area come alive after 5 o'clock. That's why we have an area called the Pearl, which they were giving tax breaks to build down there because they didn't want the city to just close up at 5 o'clock. Now with remote working, people leaving the city, I wonder if that's going to kind of go back to normal, not normal, but go back to the way it was, and people not needing to be so close to downtown to do their job. 2020s, they're saying, is going to be the best time for home buying. Well, it'll be the most amount of people, because a lot of the millennials are going to be hitting that 35 to 40 years old, where that's where most people buy homes. So the 20s are expected to be a huge run on homes. And that's where I'm kind of wondering about this 24 to 36 months of just that being the expected shortage of housing. I see if that pressure is there, that will continue. What's really interesting, we'll see how this plays out, but the personal savings hit a record high in April, partly because people just couldn't spend money, and we'll see what those following months have, but it hit 33%, and America is not known for saving money. We, since 1995, the number for personal savings has been between 7 and 3%. We're not, our culture is about spending money, not saving it. So 14 to 33% is amazing. I know there's some stimulus money that was coming out about that time. So we'll see how this plays out in the long term. Now, a lot of people are asking about forbearance, and the forbearance numbers are somewhere around 4 million homes are in forbearance, and that's where they can defer their payments. They ask the bank, say, hey, here's my situation. Can we not pay for up to 12 months? Now, out of those people, and that's a scary number, 4 million people, and that's like around 8% of the loans out there. But out of those 4 million, 80% said they could have made the payment if they had to. That's nice. That gives me some confidence that we're not nearly as bad. A lot of people are just like, hey, look, I don't know what's going to happen, so I'm going to be able to take this opportunity and hold up. That forbearance is really about, let me just take a breath here to figure out and see where the landscape is with my job, with my life, whatever it is. So 80% is fantastic. Now, supply and demand is what moves the housing market. And out of 6 metrics, new listings were down, pendings were down, but not as much as new listings. Closings were down and market time was down, but average price and median price was up. And that's what we're seeing in Portland is prices. We're getting a lot of multiple offers, so prices are going up. Inventory, we just can't make that break loose. It's really low, and it'd be interesting to see what it is this coming month. We'll get those numbers here probably by Wednesday, I think. And then the last one, this was an interesting graphic. Took a really nice class by WFG, and they showed a map of how many weeks of unemployment can a state do without having to touch their trust fund. Oregon has 65 weeks. That's amazing. And they were number 5 in the country. I think Florida was number 2. And then somewhere in there was Wyoming, South Dakota, and I can't remember what number 4 was. Washington, our neighbor just across the river, 15 weeks of unemployment, and they're number 32. And then California, man, this is scary. California is just so big. There's so much going on there. They only have 4 weeks. So I have to imagine they already blew through that. And they're number 4 as far as the worst. So those are some numbers to think about how everything plays into this. I don't know if California is going to be doing that great if they're already tapped out on that and where they are with everything. So there's the news and numbers of things that I found interesting this week. If you see something that you like that you think I should know, hit me up, send it to me on Twitter, Mike Can Do It, Instagram, Mike Can Do It, or give me a call. All right. Talk to you later.